Blindspot Episode 4, Bone May Rot. Now, before I get into the review for this episode, I want to point out that the scientist character, a female scientist, I did not realize this until this episode, but the actress that plays her is Ashley Johnson, and Ashley Johnson is a voice actress that I know from like a lot of TV shows that I watch, and also from a video game, and she is, and this, I don't know how this might matter to anyone, I don't know the age range of people that even watch my videos, to be honest. But she was Gwen in the Ben 10 series, and she's Ellie from the video game The Last of Us. And she's also been in some other stuff. She was Tara in Teen Titans. She was just recently in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series on Nickelodeon. And I never recognized her voice until this episode when she was talking with her boyfriend. And it was just the range that she spoke at. It was just like in the game. And I was like, holy crap, that's her. And I like hit the info and her name was at the end. I was like, I did not realize that at all. So it was kind of funny finding that out, because now all I'm going to do, every time she speaks, or most times, because even after I realized that, there were some scenes where it's like she's speaking just at a certain, with a certain inflection, it sounds like she does when she's in some of the things I remember her from. And then other times she still sounds different, so it was just kind of funny. I was like, holy crap, I did not realize that for 3 previous episodes. But she's this voice actress that I've known for years and seen tons of stuff that she's been in. So that was just funny, and I wanted to talk about that because it kind of blew my mind when I realized it. But as far as this episode goes, this one was pretty fun. I thought it was actually really cool. It was very surprising how things ultimately played out, because we had this woman where initially she got busted, and I was like, okay, so she got busted. She killed her husband, which was surprising even then. I thought she was going to be like, I love you, and they were going to get arrested, and maybe she would shoot the cops, or I thought she was kind of just going to take off out of the car. But she killed her husband, and after that I was like, okay, so she's going to shoot the cops after that. And instead she put the gun on herself and killed herself. Like, basically her idea was, I did what I was trying to do, and that was it. So that was pretty crazy. And then we get like a double twist at the end where it's like, oh, the person responsible, she killed herself and everything's contained, and that's pretty much it. It's just like story stuff after this. And then it's like, nope, here's a last minute twist where Weller has to fight this doctor who is basically going to infect himself and Weller at that point, and then just go across the world so that he could spread this virus, because their ideas were that we as humans are destroying Earth, and that we need, they thought they needed to rectify it by killing off millions upon millions of people so that the Earth can sustain itself, which was pretty insane. That was like some supervillain stuff. I felt like I was watching like G.I. Joe for a minute. Like, their ideas to like destroy, not destroy the world, but, kill millions and millions of people with these insane viruses. And it was to sort of rectify what we do as far as using up resources on planet Earth. And it was just like, holy crap, that was a crazy ending. Like, they're supervillains, pretty much. I mean, it's much deadlier. It's not like cartoon supervillains. It's like flat out poison people and kill off millions with these insane viruses that don't have cures to them. But it was like, holy crap, they're trying to kill people to help the Earth, because, their ideas are that, well, I mean, it's true. Technically, it is true that we use up the resources and are destroying it. But that's not the way to do it, by just killing off millions of innocent people and just being like, yeah, it's to save Earth and, save the human race, as the guy put it. And so, it's not to save lives, it's to save the race as a whole. So, in a very odd sense, sacrifice the few for the many. So it was just really crazy. Like, I could not believe that that was their actual reasoning, that they were so insanely radical at the end of this episode. It was like a great little twist, and I love that. I was like, holy crap, like, she killed herself, which was a surprise. And then we find out that this guy is actually working with her, and we get their whole ideal. I was like, that's just effing insane. That's Cobra Commander right there. That's just how I felt. But I definitely enjoyed it. That was really fun. We got some pretty cool stuff about Jane, who, another twist, may or may not actually be Taylor Shaw, because Weller says like he was actually there because he was old enough to remember he was there when Taylor was born and she was brought home. And so we have this tooth that's been examined, and it basically means that she was born in Africa. So the DNA matches, but the tooth doesn't. I feel like the tooth could easily be fake though. Like, I would assume that the DNA was a blood test or something like that. So I'm assuming that the whole tooth thing, even though it may have seemingly been, wedged in there or whatever, could have been fake. Like, she could have just been missing a tooth in general, and they just put a fake tooth in there. Boom, wipe her memory, and they gave her. I honestly, the first thing I thought they were gonna say was that they gave her fake teeth in case she was killed, so that way she couldn't possibly be matched. Which at the time didn't even make any sense because they already had the whole blood test thing, which would have easily connected them to Taylor Shaw. So now they've kind of thrown this in there, like maybe she isn't Taylor Shaw because of this really weird tooth thing. Like, I don't even know what to think of that. Whereas, like, I don't know, fake teeth, but at the same time they have like crazy information. Like, here are these two people that killed a guy 2 years ago and stole all these viruses, and then here are these ultraviolet tattoos on her forehead and on her cheeks. And it's like, well, if they can do crazy stuff like that, which they had a plan 2 years ago, and then they set this stuff in motion, or whoever the people that tattooed Jane kind of put that stuff in motion 2 years later. I guess a fake tooth from someone actually born in Africa isn't that insane. Like, knock her out, do some really insane surgery, and just wedge it in there, I guess. I don't know, but that was a crazy little twist to throw in. Like I said, I think, with both being very definitive, the tooth thing, I think, easily could have been fake, because you can have molars, you can have fake teeth, when you get cavities, you get stuff. So a fake tooth, I think, is very simple. Even if it was a real tooth, I don't know how that would work. I don't think that scientifically that works. You can just be like, oh, that person died, let's take that tooth and put it in someone else. I don't think the tooth is just going to keep on keeping on, but I could be wrong. I'm no dentist. I don't know the science behind teeth. I wouldn't assume a teeth transplant, which is technically what that would be. I don't think that would ever work, but I really don't know. It's just up in the air now. It's like she might not be Taylor Shaw, which is pretty crazy, but that was a nice twist. We got a little bit of backstory with the night that Jane disappeared, and it was fairly simple. Like, she kind of gets a bit of a memory of her leaving this home, and with her not, if she's not Taylor Shaw, that could just be a random memory. I mean, she doesn't remember anything. That could literally just be a night that someone came in. It could have been like her uncle was like, we're gonna sneak out and do whatever, and that was it. And it was nothing. And she just relates it to this memory of being kidnapped because she assumes that she's Taylor Shaw. So I don't really know, but it was really exciting. It was cool to see that, get the little bit of backstory. They had some pretty good scenes where Weller kind of explains, I guess, the ending scene before the big twist, where he's like, I haven't thought about sort of this and that in years, but we used to play around, and you're a tomboy and stuff like that. So we get this backstory. We get a little bit more of this connection between these two characters. And, Jane even tries to get a little bit of info about Weller's father. And, of course, he mentions that it's complicated. He doesn't really want to talk about that, which is fair enough, more than fair enough, based on just everything that's happened, especially with the most recent revelation. But I like those scenes. They were pretty cool. It was nice little moments of emotional content, and then just the crazy twist thrown in at the end there, and then the main case twist at the very end of that as well, plus the little twist of her killing herself. That really surprised me. I thought for sure she killed her husband, and then she was gonna like take off in the woods or like fight back with the cops, and she just didn't want to have that attachment. Like, if I kill my husband now, the attachment's gone, I've dealt with it, and then no big deal. But I don't know. It was just crazy. But it kind of sucked that she killed him. Like, he had no idea. It's like, he thinks it's just her mother, and it's like, well, we gotta go see your mom and make sure she's okay. And then he just gets killed because they get pulled over. So that really sucked for him. And of course, his wife is a full-on terrorist and was just killing millions of people, and he had no idea. So really sucked for that guy. I mean, I guess in a sense it was good he didn't know, and it just ended quickly. But that just really sucked for him. Like, he just got a bad lot in life, so that kind of blew for him. But it was a great episode. We even got a scene at the end with Reed and with Reed and Jane where he's like, I don't dislike you and you aren't really the issue. It's the fact that whenever you're around, Weller changes. Like, Weller isn't the same person that makes these snap decisions that, he just goes with and he saves everyone's lives. It's different because he's thinking about you and how to protect you because he's too close to this case. And I like that. It was kind of cool. It was, at least they had the moment finally where it's like, it's not that I dislike you or that I think you can't even actually handle yourself. It was just that he was coming up with every excuse he could possibly think of because he does not want Weller to be the one who can't actually handle himself because he feels like that's where things are headed. And he feels like that's where things really are, which so far hasn't been too bad, but he's definitely worried. He even says it just scares him. Like, flat out, it scares him. So that was a really good scene, a nice little reveal for his character. And then we get a pretty insane reveal for Zapata, and I don't know what to think of that. Like, her owing this guy $40,000 is pretty insane to me. And it was just a gambling thing, like, oh, the Jets lost, you now owe me $40,000, which meant she lost before, and it was $20,000 because he mentions the whole double or nothing thing is how she got to the 40 grand in the first place. So she bet $20,000, which clearly she didn't have, which is why she tried the double or nothing. And now she owes this guy $40,000, and she has to pay it in 3 days. Which this has nothing to do with this show specifically, but it's pretty much every show ever. When people lose bets, I always find it kind of stupid that the person just is like, I'll give you 3 days. Like, I'm just gonna randomly make this money that I clearly didn't have even half of when it was $20,000. You're just like, oh, 3 days, and it's like, I'm really gonna come up with this. You really think that's gonna happen? Like, I know the characters always say like, oh, I'll get you your money and stuff, but they're just like 3 days. No one ever just does, business payment plans. I mean, I know that every criminal is just like all or nothing or I'll kill you, which is stupid, but payment plans work a lot. Like, just saying, it's just randomly throwing that out there. It's totally useless to say, but it's always like, I'm gonna kill you, and then when that happens, no one ever gets money anyway. So it's one of those weird situations. It's almost like a superhero, supervillain type thing. Like, if you actually do this thing, then, like, if you kill off, as the villain, you kill off the hostage, then what are we talking about? Like, you have nothing to bargain with anymore if you actually kill that person. So, it's just like, I don't know. So we'll see how that plays out. But, of course, she's hiding that because it's illegal gambling and stuff, and it's a lot of money, and who knows how it's going to work out. I mean, with her working for the FBI, in all honesty, depending on how she saves her money, I mean, she'd have to really spend her money, I think. I don't know how much people get paid in the FBI, but I would assume you get more than enough to have, 40,000 saved up. But I would assume that meant you had 20,000 saved up, but she did the whole double or nothing thing. Well, either because she didn't have it or she just really didn't want to pay it. So, and based on the way it was acted, I would assume it's because she didn't have it. So whatever she's doing, she doesn't have the money. So we'll see how it all plays out. But with it being 3 days, we might have, 3 days within the next 3 episodes, and then 4 episodes from now, or I guess a month from now, we'll get day 4, and she's gonna have to deal with this guy. Although it'll probably happen, much sooner. It'll probably be like the next episode or the one after next. But either way, it's pretty cool. So that's a new little storyline, which I would assume is gonna get resolved fairly quickly. She's gonna have to deal with this guy somehow. So I'm not really sure, but I like this episode. It was definitely fun. Oops, sorry about that. But it was a fun episode. I like the fact that it was viruses. I just thought that was kind of a cool concept. It wasn't like, oh, someone's just in the military or has a bomb or something. I mean, technically, I guess it was a bomb, but it was very different. It was like worldwide type stuff, and it had already happened before where she went to, I guess, 9 different cities and just let the virus go and killed a bunch of people off. And then this was going to be like the big one where she lets it off in New York City at the airport where everyone was already leaving. Although based on it being Ebola, although Ebola had symptoms, it was like 24 hours later. So yeah, it probably would have easily spread. So it was just kind of fun. It was just interesting to see. It was a different sort of global thing. It was a different type of destruction. It was chemical warfare. So it just felt very different. But I enjoyed that. I thought that was actually really cool. We got some interesting stuff with, all of our characters on the team, like Weller, and finding out that Jane may not actually be Taylor Shaw, which is just insane. Like, two completely solid DNA tests, but only one can be true. We have the stuff with, both our other agents, with Reed kind of accepting Jane, which is pretty nice, and then one of our other detectives, or I guess agents, sorry, being in a pretty interesting situation, which I don't know how it's going to play out, but that was interesting. We also have the director of the CIA come back in this episode, which when they did the preview for the next episode and he mentioned, like, I'm the director of the CIA, that's a really big deal. I thought he was just some guy in the FBI, but he's the head of, like, a totally different organization. And now it's going to be like FBI versus the CIA, which is insane to think of, but that's like a spy movie type of thing or something. And he wants to take Jane out. Like, he wants her gone because he's worried about what can come up. He doesn't care that she doesn't have her memory or any of that crap. He's basically like, she knows something somewhere in there, and I want her dead, and that's it. So I'm actually really looking forward to the next episode, because I don't think they're going to kill him off in the very next one, especially with him being such an important character as, director of CIA. But I'm looking forward to it now, and it's going to have to, I would assume, lead to some answers, because people are going to wonder, why is this guy from the CIA coming after Jane? Like, why would he give a crap to do something so randomly evil? And then some answers are going to have to get put out there, and who knows how people are going to react, because we still don't technically know what this case is about, but it's clearly something worth hiding. So I'm really looking forward to the next one. I hope we get answers in it, but we might not. We might get half an answer. We might get the, you're totally Taylor Shaw, and then probably not Taylor Shaw thing. It could be the exact same way. Hopefully not, and it's just, this is what happened on the mission, or whatever the operation was. But either way, I definitely enjoyed this episode, and I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys think now that they've given us this, like, random twist, like, she may or may not be Taylor Shaw. What do you guys think about that? Is she Taylor Shaw? Is she not Taylor Shaw? What are your speculations as far as how both DNA tests could be 100% match for either her being Taylor Shaw or her being someone random that was born in Africa? What are your speculations on that? Because, like, I've already given mine. I honestly think the tooth thing could be, could easily be fake. It could have, I guess it couldn't be a fake tooth because she got an actual DNA test done on it, so it would have just, been like, oh, well, this is a fake tooth. Nothing, but I don't know. It's really crazy, obviously, but I want to know your speculation, so please comment below and let me know, and thanks for watching.